Breaking tonight, the terror army known as ISIS has advanced to the outskirts of Baghdad, facing a weak and fearful Iraqi army just miles away from possibly grabbing its biggest prize yet. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It was 9 months ago that the Kelly File brought you breaking news on the fall of Fallujah. It was then President Obama described ISIS as JV. Since then, we have seen the JV squad capture Mosul, Tikrit, and Ramadi, establishing a territory the size of the United Kingdom. Now that group also controls most of the suburbs to the northwest and south of Baghdad. They have been testing the troops there, defending that city with a series of hit-and-run attacks in the last 48 hours. And today, ISIS is suspected of staging a bloody series of car bombs inside Baghdad, including one that nearly killed an Iraqi minister. There are serious concerns about what will happen if ISIS does manage to breach the Iraqi capital and whether Iraqi fighters have the courage and strength to drive them out. Trace Gallagher has the late-breaking details tonight. Trace?
And Megyn, nobody's quite sure exactly how far ISIS fighters are from reaching the capital of Baghdad, but now even the Department of Defense is acknowledging that ISIS could be within 5 miles. That means the fight is now approaching the Baghdad suburbs. And the clashes have reportedly killed hundreds of Iraqi soldiers. Today, Rear Admiral John Kirby was asked if Iraqi fighters could hold their ground. Listen to him.
So I think, I can't predict anything one way or the other than to tell you what I can predict is we're going to continue to work with them in their defenses of it.
But those in and around Baghdad aren't sure the airstrikes will be enough. They point out that ISIS controls wide swaths of land to the west of Baghdad, and they've taken over farmland to the north and east. Experts also say that Iraqi forces are just now in the process of rebuilding and retraining, and they could be several months away from being able to fend for themselves. Remember, it was only a week ago that Islamic State fighters overran a key Iraqi military base outside of Fallujah. And while the focus of the Iraqi military and government is to keep ISIS fighters outside the city, today there were several attacks inside Baghdad, including at least 3 car bombs that killed dozens, and several mortar rounds were also fired. So far, there has been no claim of responsibility, but all of the attacks happened in mainly Shiite Muslim districts, a telltale sign of the Sunni Islamic State fighters. Mortars also at close range, meaning they were fired from within the district or just outside of those districts. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Canon Andrew White is a priest with the Church of England in Iraq, and he is a storied figure in that country. Early yesterday, this man, who was guarded by over 30 security guards, sent out an SOS on his Facebook page saying, quote, "The Islamic State are on the verge of entering Baghdad." He added, "All the military airstrikes are doing nothing, and if ever we needed your prayer, it is now." He is in Baghdad now. I spoke with him hours ago through an internet hookup that was weak, but his message was powerful. Watch this. Canon White, very good of you to be here tonight. And I know that despite the fact that you have a personal struggle with MS, despite threats on your life, despite being subjected to all sorts of, if not torture, close to, and losing many of your staff members, you've stayed in Iraq to try to broker a peace between the Sunni and the Shia. Never, I assume, did you anticipate seeing a force like ISIS. What is the state in Baghdad tonight as this force is apparently on the western outskirts of the city?
Well, the reality is we are in the most difficult period I have ever seen. I've been here for years, but people are even too afraid to go out into the streets. So the streets are almost empty, and people are fearful of what is going to happen. All of the Christians originate from Nineveh, which is Mosul. And so they have all had family members who have been killed, they've been slaughtered, massacred, and so there's fear down here of what has happened up there.
What is your plan tonight? Because I know I want our viewers to know that you have had up to 35 Iraqi security guards protecting you at times because you are a likely target, given what you do and what you stand for. Peace, love, Christianity. In any event, is there any plan to run to try to get out of the city?
Well, the problem is there isn't much opportunity. If you go by car, you go through the central part of Iraq, which is now under ISIS control. If you try and fly out, that isn't easy, because, for example, the first flight that I get out is on Monday, so I'm here.
Are you scared?
So tonight, I'm here.
Are you scared?
Look, I have to be honest with you. One of my biggest dangers, according to security people, is I have no concept to fear. I do not fear ever. So, no, I'm not scared. I fear for my people. I fear for what could happen to my people.
The guards are with you. The Iraqi army is continuing to fight, says the U.S. government. Do you have faith in them?
I'm laughing because I said to one of my soldiers today, if ISIS were coming towards you, what would you do? He said, I'll take off my uniform. Why are you in the army then? Why are you a soldier? What are you doing? Aren't you protecting us? He said, no, I'm in it because I need the money.
I need the money.
So it's difficult to have complete trust in an army who responds like that.
Do you believe the airstrikes that are underway right now will keep Baghdad secure?
No, not at all. I have had people, our people, killed by the airstrike. I don't know what is being achieved by them, but it's very, very little. The fact is, people like ISIS can only be controlled by troops on the ground. And where are they? We haven't got any.
Ken White, thank you very much for your time tonight. We'll continue to check in with you as we continue to follow ISIS's path and hope for the best. As he says, what he needs is prayer more than ever. All the best, sir.
Exactly.
Joining me now, Colonel Oliver North, host of War Stories and author of Counterfeit Lies. When you hear his story about how they say they'll take off their uniforms and run, Colonel, your reaction?
They've done it before, and they will do it again. Canon Andrew White, the vicar of St. George's Anglican Church in Baghdad, has figured it out. He understands perhaps better than they do at the White House, right down the street from me, what's really going on out there. I talked to several people after you had that conversation with Andrew, and they say that, look, the mobile strike units don't right now have the strength to seize the city. And it's important to note that there are about 15,000 Shiite volunteers who responded to Ayatollah Ali Sistani's call to defend their neighborhoods. And unfortunately, most of them showed up with an AK-47, a single rusty magazine, and their sandals. And they are overwhelming the Iraqi army logistics system. Look, one of our very close friends out there said to me today that the Iraqi army is reeling, poorly led, and fearful. And he said the bottom line is this isn't Saigon yet. It may well get to be, because you don't have the kind of strength that you need on the ground. As the vicar points out very clearly, it takes real troops, rough men with rifles, to defend a piece of terrain. You cannot do it simply with airplanes. Unfortunately, that's all we're trying to do.
What happens if Baghdad falls?
Oh, yeah, a bloodbath of biblical proportions. I mean, we've already seen, and you and I have seen things we would never put on the air. The footage of people being crucified, of having their heads severed, put on stakes, atrocities the likes of which we've not seen, certainly in my lifetime, since I guess maybe my lifetime, but certainly not yours. We're not doing anything of the kinds of things that we said we would do. The Obama administration promised that they would provide support for the Kurds. one plane load of supplies has come directly from the United States and not gone through Baghdad. It's outrageous, the lies that we've been told. The vicar has it right. We need troops on the ground.
Wow. And prayers as well. Colonel, good to see
Amen.
you. Well, there is big news breaking tonight about White House security. Not only did a guy with a knife run right past Secret Service into the East Room of the White House, now we have new details on a convict with a gun who got face-to-face with President Obama. Plus, why is a college letting a convicted cop killer give a commencement address? We'll hear from the college and from the police officer's widow live. And you will not believe some of what we are learning tonight about the recent Muslim convert who beheaded one coworker and tried to kill another. Next.
My understanding is that he was using some Arabic term during the attacks.